Hi everybody, it's me, Billo. Now, if you're like me, you've heard the whole world is all Twitter that next month, June of 2021, the Office of National Intelligence and other agencies within the government have been compelled to release to Congress everything that they know about UFO. And of course I understand that trying to project the way we would behave to an alien species is impossible, mainly because they're alien. But consider this as well. They've obviously got the technology to send multiple crafts to our planet for multiple years. What's going on?
Oh, shush.
They cross vast distances, avoiding radiation, Klingons, Darth Vader, all kinds of messes, and they settle right on in and they pull over Barney and Betty. Not the rebels.
Get it out!
And what, just to look up their bums? Or worse yet, they go through all that trouble just to crash on Mac Breslin's farm in Roswell, New Mexico. Seriously, if this is the best the United Federations of Planets has to offer, then they should be afraid of us. Someone put the Empire on notice. Stop rattling your lightsaber at us. We're coming for you. Either we're dealing with a bunch of low-budget aliens who got here in spite of themselves or by accident, or we're dealing with something else entirely. According to Sweeny Todd's razor, the simplest explanation is often the most likely. I believe that a super advanced alien culture crashing their ships into our planet is unlikely. Now you might point out that Tic Tac video appears to show a craft traveling from 0 to 13,000 miles an hour in an instant, going from outer space to underwater without wrecking, pulling enough G's to flatten a human being like a pancake. If all of this is true, then it's very impressive. And Earth-based scientists have projected numerous theories on how we could achieve this as well. As a matter of fact, there's even suggestions that we're working on similar technologies right now. If this is true, then the technology that we're seeing displayed by these crafts may not be millions of years ahead of us, may not be thousands or even hundreds of years ahead of us. It may only be decades ahead of us. And that's fascinating. So what gives? Are you curious? You want to hear Billo's unified theory of aliens and mischief and all that sort of thing? Well, of course you do. I would like to tell you that my theory is just as ridiculous as everyone else's. I hope if you'll stay till the end of the video, then you'll agree with me that my theory is in fact less ridiculous than the scientists'. I hope you'll leave your thoughts and ideas down there in the comment section. In a nutshell, my theory is that these craft do not come from outside space. They come from right here, good old Earth, terra firma. Furthermore, I think the craft you see, we're not built to get them here, but to get them from here to out there. So you might say, but Bill, are you suggesting that they somehow live here among us? Maybe like one of those hollow Earth theories or something like that? How could that work out? How could we have not seen them? How could they not get noticed by anyone before? Well, put on your thinking caps, babies, because I'm going to answer your questions. First of all, according to the website www.greenmatters.com, so far in 2021, at least 6, maybe 7 or 8 new species of never seen before animals have been discovered. Those animals are Rice's whale, the yellow king penguin, the yellow lobster, fleshy verdigris lichen, black-browed bladder, and the masked bee. Now we're barely halfway through 2021, and none of these species was even hiding. Gosh knows if they were hiding, we might have never found them in the first place, and all but one of them is living on the land right here with us. So now hold on to your tinfoil hats, because I'm not just going to suggest that these aliens originated here. I'm going to tell you, I think they originated with us. Yes, humanity. I think they're 100% human. I think they're the result of selected breeding, or what was once called eugenics. That's right, Wrath of Khan stuff.
I shall leave you as you left me. Buried alive.
Selective breeding is the process of selecting members of a given population with a desirable trait and breeding them together to create offspring with that trait. This is how we created dogs from wolves, cats from mountain lions, seedless grapes, seedless watermelons, seedless oranges, And the list goes on. Eugenics is when you use that same process and apply it to humans. Alright, we're on dangerous ground here, so let me make a few things perfectly clear. When some people think of eugenics, they think of Hitler, World War II, the Holocaust, and the atrocities against mankind, especially to the Jews. That is not eugenics. That is genocide. There are not enough words in me to condemn genocide. It is the worst thing I can think of. Genocide is a horror against humanity. There's no softening that, and there should be no tolerance for that. That is certainly not what I'm discussing here. Unsavory comments will be reported to YouTube before being deleted. No exceptions. Before World War II, the United States, along with several other countries, had their own eugenics programs. Some of the names associated with American eugenics include the Carnegie Institution, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Harriman Railroad Fortune, J.K. Kellogg, Alexander Graham Bell, Margaret Sanger, the founder of Planned Parenthood, the American Breeders Association, the Women's Christian Temperance Union, and the National League of Women Voters. If you're not familiar with eugenics, then I strongly recommend you check out the Wikipedia page on it and how the greatest minds of our time supported this 100%. What I'm talking about is leaving the general population exactly as it is and pulling certain traits out. For instance, we have dogs, but we still have wolves. We have cats, and we still have mountain lions. Get it? The goal here is to create a subpopulation. So now the first dogs may have been domesticated as far back as 36,000 years ago. Think about that. For 36,000 years, humanity has known that we can take what's here and make it into something a little bit different. And that's why we've applied this process to so many different plants and animals. It's ridiculous to think that we've never tried this on ourselves. Over the millennium, it's probably been tried hundreds of times. And who knows, maybe one time it worked. If we could ignore cosmetic, spiraless, color, ethnicity, all these other things, what do you suppose that we would select for? What would we be in favor of? Maybe aptitudes for intelligence or industriousness, patience, empathy, cleverness? Who could say? Although there is one thing that I think would be true, and these, I'll call them metahumans, would have a superficial appearance same as ours, but not exactly. Their skin color might be different, their head might be shaped different, their eyes might be different. In general, none of those traits are what they were bred for. They were bred for some other trait. They would probably still have 2 eyes, ears, arms, and legs, but the resemblance could end there. Hair color, or even the existence of hair, might not be an important trait. The same could be said for skin color, height, muscle mass, vision, and hearing. Why, they could start looking like the gray aliens. Check off, why do aliens look like us? In addition, breeding a small population over and over could actually introduce issues. Issues that until recently could only be mitigated by introducing new genetic material into the population. That's when you abduct a healthy person with desirable traits, experiment on them, and collect their DNA. Check off alien abductions. So now imagine you're living in some small town hundreds, maybe even thousands of years ago, and this new family moves into town. They bring with them the ability to read and write, advanced farming technique, understanding of when to sow and when to reap. They understand the stars, they understand commerce, trade, and political influence. Soon, they're the most successful, richest family in the land. Of course, with their influence, the town may flourish for generations. They may even start the process of building a pyramid or a henge of some sort so that everyone can learn when to plant and when to harvest. Then, as is the case in human nature, the townsfolk begin to resent them for their successfulness, them and their stupid, bald-headed kids.
Does your kind ever think about love, Chuck? What do you mean, my kind?
And that's when it comes time for them to leave town and go into hiding. Townspeople will probably remember them as gods. So why not go open a monastery or something? You could hide there. But either way, check off ancient aliens. And speaking of monasteries, what better place for these people to hide? Quietly making some church or religious organization fabulously powerful and wealthy, all the while using them as their intermediary between themselves and the rest of humanity. That is, at least until they have some sort of difference of opinion or a power struggle. Now, this church won't be able to oust them without admitting their complicity, so off they go. Perhaps even creating some new organization with animosity towards organized religions. They could claim ancient secrets and ancient roots and secret knowledge. And they'd be protected by layers and layers of insulation. Maybe as many as 33. Check off secret societies. In all this time of interbreeding, they're starting to look more and more like gray aliens, or more specifically, they're starting to look less and less like us. And it's becoming increasingly obvious that the world will never accept them. With the right connections, power, and influence, these people could easily live hidden among us, side by side with us, quietly building technology and little by little slipping some our way. The more technology they slip our way, the more we're able to build it, the easier it is for them to use it. Just imagine a jet airplane with a couple of these dudes flying them, with technology and whatnot that looks like it's from the 1960s, but crashes into Mac Breslin's farm in 1947. Check off Roswell. So now, if you were these guys, what would you do? Would you reveal yourselves? Think about it for a minute. They could potentially be blamed for everything that's gone wrong in the past 100 or 1,000 or thousands of years. They could be blamed for anything. They could be vilified easily.
Whose fault was it, girls?
Her fault. Her fault.
And what if they actually did have input in these events? What if they're the ones who spurred on Martin Luther? What if they're the ones who spurred on Martin Luther King? They could be responsible for any number of positive and or negative things that have happened to humanity. Would we ever accept them? Think about it for a minute. Humans kill each other because of differences as small as believing a different God, believing the same God but in a different way, being different colors, being different sizes, being different heights, being different genders, being different everythings. And we're all basically the same. These guys, a little bit different. Personally, I think the best idea for these guys is to get off the Earth altogether, head to the Moon or Mars or further. Which brings us to today, May of 2021. And the Pentagon is telling us that there are UFOs, and they're not under the control of the United States. And if they're under control of a different nation, then this constitutes the biggest breach in intelligence gathering ever in the face of humanity. That somehow another nation could develop a technology this good without us even knowing that they were developing it.
Does your dig that? No? Oh. Nice digging. I thought you said your dog did not bite.
That is not my dog.
Unless this technology was not developed by a nation or a nation that we know of. What if this technology was developed by a nation with no borders in an attempt to get off of this world? What if these displays that we're seeing are a veiled threat to us, telling us to leave them alone?
So just leave me alone.
What if it's their way of saying to us, you're vulnerable to us. We can suddenly appear wherever you're least expecting us, drop a bunch of bombs, and be gone before you even pick us up on radar. And their message to us is, don't try to follow us. Some of us, humans, are about to embark on the greatest adventure of all humanity. And they're also about to leave a bunch of us behind. Scientists have long projected that humanity will either self-annihilate or one day head to the stars. I don't know if they ever imagined that we could do both. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll think about subscribing. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the video this far. Why don't you think about subscribing?